So hey guys, welcome to another Warframe video, and today we're gonna take... Seriously? Like, for real? Anyway, so hey guys, welcome to another Warframe video, and today we're gonna take a look at Banshee and... Today we're gonna take a look at Banshee, which is a Warframe that's based on sound. I swear to God, you do that one more time and I'm reviewing Equinox instead. Understood? Good. So hey guys, welcome to another Warframe video, and today we're finally gonna take a look at Banshee. Now first things first, to get Banshee you have to be in a clan because you get all her parts from a Tenno lab in a dojo. Banshee is incredibly squishy. She only has 100 health and shoots, which both go up to 300 at rank 30, only 15 armor, which is the lowest in the entire game, above average power of 150, which will go up to 225 at rank 30, and she's faster than most other Warframes with sprint speed of 1.1. And to top it off, she has 3 polarities, 2 Vs, and an additional V in the aura slot. Banshee is a sound-based Warframe, and her toolkit is fairly versatile. She can cause a sonic boom, which knocks enemies down, cover the enemy in weak spots and then shoot them for insane amounts of damage, deafen all the enemies around her by simply snapping her fingers, or create a Soundquake that will stagger and damage enemies. And before we take a closer look at all her abilities, I just want to say that you can get all the augments for her abilities by either being the rank of Genius under Cephalon Suda or the rank of Partner under Parent Sequence, and they will cost you 25,000 standing each. And first up we have Banshee's passive ability, which is called Suppressor, and it basically makes all the weapons you use with Banshee completely silent, which is a pretty good passive if you ask me. Banshee's first ability is called Sonic Boom, where she creates a sonic boom in a 180-degree cone in front of her that reaches up to 15 meters at the center of the cone and is affected by power range. All enemies caught within this cone will suffer 50 impact damage, which is affected by power strength. Light units will be knocked down and flung backwards a couple of meters. Medium units may get flung backward, but sometimes they will just be knocked down. And heavy units may get knocked down, but sometimes they will only get staggered. However, Sonic Boom will not bypass obstacles in the environment, so if you want to incapacitate something or just throw it on the ground, you have to have line of sight. And once you've thrown an enemy on the ground, you have to wait for them to get up completely. If you use Sonic Boom on them before they are fully up, they will not get staggered, they just take a little bit of impact damage. This ability is really awesome because it's very cheap and it provides reliable AoE crowd control. And its augment is not too shabby either. It's called Sonic Fracture, and it will reduce the armor of enemies affected by Sonic Boom by 70% for 8 seconds. Now, the armor reduction debuff is affected by power strength mod, so all you need to do to strip the enemy of their armor entirely is to have bonus 43% power strength, which is very easily achievable with just max Intensify and Power Drift. This is really awesome because Intensify and Power Drift don't have any negative effects on the other stats, so you can pump up your power duration so the armor reduction duration lasts longer. Yes, it is affected by power duration, and you can even pump up your power range so you have a bigger sonic boom so you can hit more enemies at once. So all in all, a very cheap and spammable ability that provides reliable AoE crowd control, and with a little bit of power strength and the Sonic Fracture augment, it can completely strip the enemy of their armor. Banshee's second ability is called Sonar, where she releases a sound wave that will mark enemies within 35 meters and show them on the minimap for 30 seconds. In addition to that, for these 30 seconds, every enemy hit by Sonar will have one of their body parts highlighted with a pulsating circle that will be the same color as your energy. This is a weak spot, and if you shoot it, it will increase the damage you do by 500%. Now, this is even crazier than it sounds, because you can hit an enemy with Sonar multiple times, and if some of the weak spots overlap, they will stack. On top of that, it also stacks with body part multipliers, so if you get a weak spot on their head, you will get the weak spot multiplier and a headshot multiplier, and you can increase the multiplier of the weak spot by adding more power strength. This ability is just straight up ridiculous. Now, as is to be expected, the range of the wave that highlights enemies and gives them a weak spot is affected by power range, and the duration of the weak spot is affected by power duration. The augment for Sonar is called Resonance, where if you kill an enemy by shooting their weak spot, it will automatically cast Sonar for free, but the duration will be equal to the remaining duration of the weak spot you shot. Now this does have an internal cooldown, so it will only trigger Sonar every 3 seconds. And other than the duration, which will be taken from the weak spot you shot, it has the same stats as your normal Sonar. But it does give you a little bit more power range because it doesn't cast the Sonar at your location, it will trigger it at the enemy's location. Banshee's third ability is called Silence, where she emits a sound-dampening aura that has a radius of 20 meters and lasts for 25 seconds. Now, while the Silence aura is in effect, your sound will be muffled just like when you're in stealth, and the enemies will be briefly stunned, after which they will be deafened so they can't hear anything for the duration of the aura. This does include gunfire, alarms, and death screams from their friends. Now, since the enemies can't hear you, if you sneak up on them and they're unaware of you, you can perform a stealth finisher on them, so you can do a lot of damage or even insta-kill them if you have covert lethality on your dagger. But there's two big buts. If the enemies are alerted and you cast it, or they simply run into the radius of the aura, they will still be alerted. And while the enemies are deaf, like completely deaf, they can't hear a damn thing, they can still see you, so this is kind of like stealth, but not quite as good. It's kind of the exact opposite of stealth. You can fire any weapons you want, and the enemies will not be able to hear a damn thing, but as soon as they see you, you're kind of screwed. Because most of the time, they will just raise the alarm, and as the enemies start running in, they will be alerted, and it doesn't matter that you have the silencing aura around you, because they already know you're there. And once again, as is to be expected, the range or the radius of the aura is affected by power range mods, and the duration of the aura is affected by power duration mods. The augment for Silence is called Savage Silence, which will increase finisher damage by 300% while Silence is active. Now, while the damage increase is affected by power strength, this mod, in my opinion, is kind of useless, because if you want to use Finisher in combination with Silence, you should be running a dagger with covert lethality, which will one-shot any enemy as long as you can get a Finisher on them. But then again, you may want to use this if you want to make your friend who likes to play Bladestorm Ash happy, because Bladestorm does do Finisher damage, so this will increase damage done by Bladestorm. And Banshee's fourth and final ability is called Soundquake, where she smashes the ground with her hands, dealing 200 blast damage in a small area around her, and then starts emitting pulses in a 20-meter radius that do 200 blast damage each. Both the initial damage and the damage of the waves are affected by power strength, and the radius of the waves is affected by power range. Now, both the initial damage and the damage of the waves have a chance to proc blast, which isn't really that big of a deal because as the waves are pulsing outwards, they will push enemies back and stagger them with each hit, basically stunning them. Now, as you can see on the screen, while you're channeling Soundquake, you are anchored to the ground, so you can't move, you can't do anything, and you are fully vulnerable, which can be very dangerous in high-level missions, because if there are enemies outside the range of Quake, they can easily shoot you and kill you, since Banshee isn't the tankiest of frames. On top of that, it will disable all energy generation while you're channeling Quake, and the only way to gain energy is if your carrier vacuums in an energy orb. And this is kind of bad because Soundquake drains 12 energy every second. Now, this is affected by power efficiency, which has quite a significant effect, but also power duration, which has a lesser effect, but it's still noticeable. The augment for Soundquake is called Resonating Quake, which for every second that you channel Soundquake will increase the damage done by it by 100, range by 1 meter, and energy cost by 1. Now, this does stack up to 20 times, so at maximum stacks, it will do 2000 more damage. It will increase the energy drain by 20 energy every second, but it will not add 20 meters to the range. It will take the range you have by default, which is affected, as I've said already, by power range, and it will double it. So if your range is 20 meters at base, it will push it up to 40, but if it's 40, it will push it up to 80. This can easily cover an entire tile set, so if you see a Banshee quaking on Berahinia, she's basically quaking the entire map. Now, I know that I recommend basically every Warframe, and it's kind of a joke at this point, but I would definitely recommend you try out Banshee. I have no idea why Banshee isn't played more. She has an amazing toolkit. I mean, 3 out of her 4 abilities are extremely useful and powerful if used correctly. Silence is kind of meh, but you know, that's just 1 out of 4 abilities, and the other 3 are really good. I mean, stripping away the entirety of the enemy armor with Sonic Boom and then shooting them in the head with a weak spot, that's probably the most damage I have ever done in this game. I don't think I've seen numbers this big, even with Nova's fully charged antimatter drop. And she's pretty easy to get as well. All you have to do is get into a clan. Her manufacturing requirements aren't that bad. It's just a couple of resources. And I'm gonna be incredibly biased over here, but the Soprana skin is probably the best skin DE has released yet. I just love the Techno Jessica Rabbit look. It's awesome. So go and get Banshee. She's awesome. She's really fun. She's really strong. It's just an awesome Warframe, so go and get her. And as always, I thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.